Rich Dad, Poor Dad didn't make most people rich. It made them feel smart while they stayed broke. Because most people learn the slogans, not the lesson that actually matters. And if you repeat those ideas without understanding this, you're building confidence, not wealth. Give me 10 minutes, and I'll show you the mental mistakes keeping people stuck and the few ideas that actually turn income into real wealth. Economic school teaches: study hard, get a degree, land a high-paying job, save a portion of your income, and retire comfortably. It's not wrong, but it's incomplete because income and wealth are not the same thing. You can earn $200,000 a year and have no wealth. You can earn $60,000 a year and be financially secure. The difference is what you do with the money, not how much you make. Most high earners live paycheck to paycheck, not because they're irresponsible, but because their lifestyle scales with their income. Bigger house, nicer car, private schools, expensive vacations. They're earning more, but they're not building wealth. And the moment they lose their job, the entire structure collapses. This is what Kiyosaki calls the rat race. And it's real. University teaches you how to earn money. It doesn't teach you how to keep it, grow it, or make it work for you. That's the gap. Kiyosaki's definition of assets and liabilities is different from accounting textbooks. In accounting, an asset is anything you own that has value. Your car, your house, your furniture. Kiyosaki redefines it. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. Your primary residence? Under his definition, it's a liability. It costs you mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance. Money flows out every month. A rental property that generates positive cash flow, that's an asset. Money flows in. A dividend-paying stock portfolio? Asset. A car you drive to work? Liability. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't own a home or a car. You need shelter, you need transportation, but the mental model matters. Most people accumulate liabilities and call them assets. They think they're building wealth because they own things. But if those things don't generate income, they're not building wealth. They're building expenses. The discipline Kiyosaki emphasizes is this: prioritize acquiring assets first. Things that generate cash flow. Then use that cash flow to buy liabilities if you want them. Most people do it backwards. They buy the house, the car, the lifestyle, then they wonder why they can't afford to invest. Sequencing matters. Here's the shift in thinking that changed how I view investing. Working for money means you trade time for income. You show up, you do the work, you get paid. If you stop, the income stops. Making money work for you means you own systems that generate income without your direct labor. In modern terms, this could be stocks that pay dividends, index funds that appreciate over time, rental properties, a business with employees, royalties from intellectual property. You're not physically working for each dollar. The asset is working for you. Now, let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with working for money. Most of us do. I do. But the goal is to gradually reduce your dependence on active income and increase your ownership of income-producing assets. This doesn't mean you quit your job and start a business tomorrow. That's reckless. It means you take a portion of your salary, consistently invest it into assets, and over time, those assets grow to the point where they could support you if needed. That's financial independence, not wealth, not luxury, just the ability to cover your basic needs without working. And that's the real value of making money work for you. It's optionality, it's freedom, it's reducing vulnerability. Kiyosaki introduces the cash flow quadrant: employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. The idea is that employees and self-employed people trade time for money. Business owners and investors own systems that generate money. And he argues that the right side of the quadrant, business owner and investor, is where financial freedom lives. I agree with the principle, but I think the execution is often misunderstood. Most people hear this and think they need to quit their job and start a business. That's not realistic for everyone, and it's not necessary. Here's the truth. You can participate in the investor quadrant without quitting your job. When you buy shares of a business, you're a part owner. You're on the right side of the quadrant. When you invest in an index fund tracking the S&P 500, you own a piece of 500 businesses. When you buy dividend-paying stocks or real estate investment trusts, you're receiving cash flow from assets you own. You don't need to be an entrepreneur to think like an investor. You just need to allocate capital strategically. The most practical path for most people is a hybrid approach. Work a stable job, invest consistently, build ownership over time. You're still an employee, but you're thinking like an investor. That's the real lesson of the quadrant. It's about mindset, not career change. Kiyosaki is known for emphasizing real estate. And to be fair, real estate can be an excellent wealth-building tool, but it's not the only tool. And for many people, it's not the most practical one. The principle underneath his preference for real estate is this. He favors assets that generate cash flow and have intrinsic value. That principle applies to more than just real estate. Businesses generate cash flow. Stocks represent ownership in businesses. Dividend stocks provide income. Bonds provide predictable interest. Commodities like gold act as inflation hedges. The key is diversification and resilience. If all your wealth is in one asset class, you're exposed. Real estate crashes, stock markets crash, currencies devalue. But a portfolio spread across multiple asset classes can weather different economic conditions. Kiyosaki also emphasizes protecting against inflation. He's right about that. Cash loses value over time. Bonds lose value in high inflation. But real assets, things with intrinsic value, tend to hold up better. Stocks and companies with pricing power. Real estate, commodities. These are inflation hedges. The takeaway isn't to copy Kiyosaki's exact strategy. It's to think about what protects and grows your wealth over time. Build a portfolio that generates income, preserves value, and gives you options. One thing Kiyosaki emphasizes that I completely agree with: understanding taxes matters. Not to evade them, not to cheat, but to understand how the system works. Employees are taxed first. Your employer withholds taxes before you even see your paycheck. You get what's left. Investors and business owners are taxed after expenses. They earn revenue, deduct legitimate costs, and pay taxes on what remains. This isn't a loophole. It's how the tax code is designed. Long-term capital gains, dividends, and qualified retirement accounts all receive preferential tax treatment. Why? Because governments want to incentivize investment and capital formation. The problem is, most people don't learn this. They earn a salary, pay taxes, and assume that's just how it works. But if you understand the rules, you can make decisions that are more tax efficient. Maxing out retirement accounts, holding investments long-term, using tax-advantaged accounts, investing in municipal bonds if appropriate. Again, this is legal. This is planning, not evasion, and the more you understand the rules, the better decisions you make. Now let me be clear about where I disagree. Kiyosaki advocates for aggressive use of leverage, borrowing money to buy assets, using other people's money to invest. In theory, leverage amplifies returns. In practice, it amplifies risk. Leverage works when markets go up, but when markets crash, leverage destroys you. 2008 was full of highly leveraged real estate investors who lost everything. I'm not against leverage entirely. Mortgages make sense for most people. Strategic business loans can be smart. But using excessive leverage to invest is dangerous, especially for individuals without deep pockets or institutional backing. Kiyosaki also oversimplifies risk. He talks about real estate like it's a guaranteed win. It's not. Properties don't always appreciate. Tenants don't always pay. Markets crash. Maintenance costs surprise you. Real estate can be great, but it's not risk-free. And finally, his strategies are often presented as one-size-fits-all. They're not. What works in Phoenix doesn't work in New York. What works in a bull market doesn't work in a recession. What works for someone with capital doesn't work for someone starting from zero. Context matters. Risk tolerance matters. Personal goals matter. So take the principles. Think critically. Adapt them to your situation. Don't follow anyone blindly. Not Kiyosaki, not me, not anyone. So what's the real lesson here? It's not that you need to become a real estate mogul or quit your job. It's that investing is about reducing long-term vulnerability. When you build a portfolio of income-generating assets, you're creating options. You're giving yourself freedom. The freedom to leave a job you hate. The freedom to take a risk on something you believe in. The freedom to retire when you want, not when you have to. That's what Kiyosaki is really talking about. Not luxury, not showing off. Freedom. And that freedom comes from thinking like an owner, not just an earner. It comes from prioritizing assets over liabilities, from understanding cash flow, from learning the rules of the game, from being disciplined, patient, and strategic. These are principles formal education doesn't emphasize, but they're essential for building real wealth. Rich Dad. Poor Dad isn't a perfect book, but it asks the right questions, and sometimes the right questions are more valuable than perfect answers. Before we close, this is not financial advice. I'm sharing what I've learned, not telling you what to do. If you're making financial decisions, consult with a certified financial advisor who understands your specific situation. If you found this perspective valuable, subscribe to the channel. This is a space for rational, long-term thinking about money and investing. No hype, no shortcuts, just thoughtful analysis. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Here's what